For the first half of this video, I will be discussing the movie with no spoilers. I will be letting you guys know when I go into spoiler territory. Things that I'm going to talk about have already been shown to us through trailers or interviews with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson. Let us begin. This movie to me was as if I was watching a new take on the Arkham franchise. And that's a great thing. I think that's honestly the definitive Batman in a lot of people's eyes, and a lot of people could agree on that as well. This is the most Batman movie we've ever gotten. It's more faithful to the character than Nolan's entire trilogy.
How could you say something so controversial yet so brave?
I know, such a controversial thing to say, but hey, you came here for my opinion. It's such a new and refreshing take on the character. You know, everyone raves about Nolan's realism, but I didn't see Bale's Batman fucking up just as much as Robert Pattinson's did. In this movie, he makes mistakes, and it's fitting to the story and its character. Because it's shown early on that he's still so new to this. Having an iffy relationship with the police, and half the criminals being shit scared of him, and the other half not even taking him seriously. And Batman takes a lot of damage in this one. He's a great fighter in this, and a lot faster and more ruthless than Bale's Batman. But he also takes hits and gets shot. He's not perfect. The action in this movie is nicely choreographed, and Batman never feels too overpowered. He fights smart, often using his surroundings to his advantage, and using his gadgets when he can, even though he doesn't have a lot of them. But that's okay. To see a Batman in his second year struggling without the help of Lucius Fox, seeing his drive and passion for his city, not only by putting his body and mind at risk every night, but also his life. Alright, that's all I can really say about those elements without getting too into it. So now we'll get into the casting. Let's start with Rob as Batman. I found my new favourite Batman, besides Kevin Conroy of course. Rob is perfect in this role. He has that Bruce Wayne chiseled strong jawline. And the suit looks amazing. It's easily my favourite bat suit on screen we've ever had. Rob's take on the character is so angry and lost. He takes on all these thugs and villains with just pure rage. He's a young and angry Batman. Just like Origins. It looks like it's hard for Bruce to hold back his punches because he's so filled with rage. I found his voice to be much better than Bale's as well. It was easy to understand and not distracting. It sounded genuinely intimidating and a perfect blend between Conroy and Bale. Rob's an actor that can express so many emotions in just one look. And yes, this Batman is depressing and he is sad. But you can see that he's just genuinely struggling. And I think that that's a more interesting take on the character. Because he's internally struggling with so much, but still has the heart to go put on the cape and cowl every night. To protect the city that he loves. Alright, let's get into Catwoman and the other characters. I really enjoyed Zoe Kravitz's portrayal of Catwoman. Because when I picture Catwoman, I imagine a very seductive, sexy, and confident woman that can handle herself and do shit on her own. Without any help. And that's exactly what Zoe Kravitz did. I'd have to say this is a perfect portrayal of the character. It's very faithful to the comics and it really outshone Anne Hathaway. I would say that she's the most interesting character in this movie because you can't trust her yet you want to, and you can never tell what her motives are. Plus, she's so integral to the story. Colin Farrell is also really fucking good as the Penguin. Like, really good. He's just so accurate to his comic counterpart. You know the Penguin, when he's such a cocky, confident bastard, yet when shit hits the fan and Batman's up in his face, he turns into a little bitch. And he just caves in and shows who he really is. Penguin doesn't have a lot of scenes, but the ones he's in, you can really feel the effect of his character being there. Gordon's also played very well. And I love his partnership and relationship with Batman. Where no other cop trusts him, Gordon has complete faith in him. And they work this case together like a team. Paul Dano does an amazing job as the Riddler. I really like this take on the character and I think it's fitting for the world that Matt's created. He's just a genius in this movie. And there's a lot of good twists with his character. And he's just crazy, but he's also really smart and onto it. His performance of the Riddler is quite scary at times. He's really dark and some of the stuff he does in the movie is quite horrifying and shocking. Now, as everyone knows, Gotham City is basically its own character. They really captured the look of Gotham. Just a disgusting cesspool of a city. Around every corner is some thug. Or just ruins on the street, rubbish everywhere. And it's so dark and depressing. And everyone's living in poverty, and those that aren't caved in and gave in to the city. And becoming corrupt. Being in a city like this, there's nowhere to go but just to follow every politician or corrupt cop into becoming corrupt like them. It makes you appreciate what Gordon and Batman are trying to do in turning the city around even though it's complete hell. I feel like this movie is going to be criticized by the general public for its runtime. I personally liked how long it was, how they were able to fit so much story into this movie. I'd prefer for it to be a 3-hour movie than a 2.5-hour movie and just have so much missing from the plot and important character moments. There's nothing wrong with a long film so long as it achieves to tell the story it's trying to tell. And in this case, the story they told was one of the best Batman detective stories I've ever seen or read. Okay, now I'm going to talk about spoilers, so this is your warning. Click off now, and I will proceed to talk about a few plot points. The opening of this movie just captured me straight away. I haven't seen an opening to a movie like that in so long. I feel like everyone was just so engaged straight away. The narration was so necessary for setting up Batman, Gotham, and how the police and everyone else sees him. So many beautiful shots straight away, and the opening made us shit scared of the Riddler, and just showed him to be a real threat. Just standing there in the darkness waiting to strike. This movie contrasts Batman and Riddler so well. How I said just standing there in the darkness waiting to strike can be applied to both of them. They're two sides of the same coin. The Waynes being killed changes Riddler's life just as much as it does Batman's. But where one was possessed by rage and anger for justice, one was doomed to create havoc and chaos out of revenge. The line at the end of the movie spoken by Riddler's henchman, "I'm vengeance," just proves my point. They both go out there each night doing what they do because of what experiences shaped them. Where Batman goes out each night to make sure no little boy is left stranded without his mother or father, Riddler goes out each night to do the exact same thing. Because what left Riddler a stranded orphan was corruption. So he tries to take out corruption in an act of revenge for what happened to him. The only thing that separates the two is the methods of how they go after corruption in the city. That's why Riddler thought they were a team. Batman realizes this at the end of the movie when he says he has to be more than vengeance and be hope. Because he realized that vengeance wasn't enough, and vengeance is what drove Riddler to doing what he did. I loved how they handled Batman so much in this film. The eye contacts were so genius. Because of course Batman would record everything then later review it. He studies it all, he plays it back so he doesn't miss a single detail. This Batman uses his head and his willpower rather than just relying on technology. I mean sure he uses technology, but he uses it to his advantage to aid him. Bruce got so fucked up in this movie and made so many mistakes. It's nice to see him not being perfection yet like Batman is often known for. He looks way in over his head. Like in the wingsuit scene where he needs to parachute under an overpass and he misjudges it completely. He then goes flying out of the sky and starts skidding all over the concrete. When I saw the scene, I genuinely thought he was going to clear it because he's Batman. But it just shows how young and new he is to this still, and how he has so much more to go before he becomes the famous Dark Knight. I loved how Batman ended up needing and relying on Gordon and Catwoman as well. How they managed to both help him in different sides of the case. They played an integral part at processing the narrative and weren't left with no role at any point in the movie. The Batmobile chase scene was actually really good with Penguin as well. I thought it looked amazing and I didn't really see too much CGI. It's hard to do a good chase scene without coming off too fucking fast and furious. I feel like they shouldn't have shown it very much in the trailer though, and then left it for the movie. And I bet everyone's gonna shut up now about how the Batmobile looked underwhelming. Now, where can the movie go in terms of a sequel? It looks like they've maybe teased the Joker, but I don't think they should go there with Joker yet. Give the world time to breathe, introduce other members of the Rogues Gallery. Honestly, I think doing a Court of Owls movie would be quite fitting, considering they've been in Gotham for so long and it fits the theme of this movie. Did you love the movie? Did you hate the movie? Did you like it? Anything that disappointed you? But let me know where you guys think the sequel should go in the comments down below.